Alright, looks like we're going. Alright. Change colors over. Alright, sorry about the delay. Let's make this happen once again. Alright, now we have all the casters. We'll be able to play this one out. So, here we go once again into Newkirk Precinct, folks. I do expect this to be a pretty good map. Pretty good match, in fact. Let's go. So, now changing his color just to annoy me in the southeast position on Newkirk Precinct. Playing for Team Mousesports. Playing Zerg in the blue trunks. He is Vortex. Versus his opponent to the southwest position. Now in the red trunks, they swapped before the match, which is a little weird, but I'm not going to judge. Playing for Team Millenium. Often the ace for Team Millenium. Playing Terran in the red trunks. It is 4GG. Well, 4GG is having some serious Zerg problems lately. He is losing a lot to Zerg. And that is very problematic. It's not too helpful for him at all. But it's happening. And it sucks, but it's happening. So, he needs to do something about that, certainly. We have seen him attempt cheese against Zerg. That's not the worst idea ever, especially against a player like Vortex. Very macro-orientated Zerg player. That early aggression can certainly put the Zerg back, but when it gets into a late game, it can be pretty bad. And also, what I've noticed is that he seems pretty vulnerable to Zerg all-ins as well. He's lost to Roach Bane probably as many times, if not more, than Ryung has. So, it's pretty grim. We'll see. If he's able to pull it out here against Vortex, that'll be great. Vortex considered, of course, to be one of the best European Zergs right now. So, frankly, we're going to need to see a bit of a different 4GG from what we saw in the recent WCS matches, where he was pretty... Honestly, he was crushed by Nurtio. Let's be completely fair to what happened there. He was crushed. Alright. 15cc coming down here for 4GG. Decent map for it. Newkirk Precinct often results in late-game split map scenarios, so it's definitely not too bad. You can expand away from your opponent quite a lot because, well, there's the split down the center of the map. You got an expansion there. You got this one right here, which can be vulnerable for Zerg players, especially against Terran. But then you got this one towards the back and expand up to the top. It's not too bad. 4GG with a gas follow-up and 1 racks instead of the Lucifron style of 2 racks, no gas. So, I'm interested to see what he wants to do with that gas early on. Evidently does not want to stick on Marine only. The question is, what is his strategy? He's going to have access to a lot of gas early because of that CC, but generally speaking, the Terran player doesn't really want that much gas early. They can't necessarily use it. It's very difficult. Vortex being scouted right here. 4GG steals a few minerals. A little bit of larceny going on right here. This drone is the mall security officer. He'll chase for a little while, then he'll get exhausted and go and get a Cinnabon. Okay, now Vortex sitting just on 2 hatcheries, and still no gas, actually. He's going to go double queen here. We'll see how many queens he actually decides to go up to. The fact that he hasn't taken a gas indicates he wants to take a 3rd base pretty quickly. He has scouted to some degree his opponent, but I would expect to see a 3rd base coming down here. 2 more queens coming out. In the meantime, 4GG now just establishing a basic defensive position. There's the factory coming down. What does he want to do? Well, Reactor comes in. It might just be Reactor Hellion play from this position. The Reactor's pretty well timed with this factory, so they should finish around the same time. Reactor Hellion, definitely not a bad idea. Still hasn't taken any more gas, so... Alright, Vortex sitting on a good amount of cash right now, but is not, in fact, indicating that he wants to go for a 3rd base at all. He's actually taking all 4 gas. So I would expect to see a lair coming out from Vortex, and we could see Spire play. Very, very likely, considering that he is grabbing all 4 gas at the same time. He's going to put drones into them immediately as well, so... Yep, that seems likely. And he's sitting on 4 queens right now for defense, which is absolutely fine against what his opponent's got, which is barely anything. 4GG just sitting on that, getting that 3rd CC up as well. Now, we have seen just how dangerous those Mutalisks can be. especially against a 3cc build where they're able to maraud around and do a lot of damage, but can 4GG actually defend against them? Gas income is very, very high right now for Vortex. He's grabbing his speed here, so we could see, obviously, Ling Muta, possibly Baneling play coming in here as well. It is something that we saw from Gosu User, but instead we are going to see the 2 evolution chambers coming down. Interesting. So perhaps we won't see Spire, but that's still a lot of gas he's sitting on. He can go very heavy upgrades with this. Maybe upgrade heavy Baneling play, possibly. We'll see. Straight into Baneling speed, something along those lines. He can still go Muta, but it's going to be a more neutered number of Muta. Thing is, though, he's just finished his lair. There's the Spire coming down. Still going to take 100 seconds to go, so... In fact, he may have just built those as a wall-off against Hellions, and then he'll go for the upgrades a little later once they start to get the Mutas out. Those are all possibilities right now. There's the Baneling nest, so we now definitely know what we're going to see from him. In the meantime, 4GG adding on reactors for the most part. He is not making use of this factory. However, the Hellions actually managed to get their way into the base. How on earth that happened, I don't know. That should not have happened at all. Yep, more Hellions. This could be horrible. Good few shots coming off here. How did this happen? Man, I want to watch the replay and find out how that happened, because that should not have in a million years happened. There was a solid wall off at the front. 17 workers killed. There's no way they should have got into the base, and there's no way they should have been able to do that. There were 4 queens with a solid wall off. Vortex takes heavy damage. Did he get his Spire scouted? He didn't. That's perhaps the only big thing right now. He didn't scout. There's 2 gas, so Vortex is at least going to be able to play with the element of surprise a little bit, but even then, I think 4GG has probably figured it out. That was devastating. So much damage done with those Hellions. God, I wasn't even looking at that side of the map because I'm like, there's no way those Hellions are getting in. I mean, there shouldn't be. But apparently the wall-off was not complete. The Queens were not able to block it off. Alright, well, 4GG is in a fantastic spot now. He is absolutely set up to deal with mutas. There's only a small number of them, considering the economic damage that was taken there. There's barely any lava as it is, so he can't do a big Ling follow-up to this. There's 11 Marines out. There are missile turrets in position. There's bunkers going down here as well. Missile turrets in great positions, in fact. All over the place. He is totally ready for this, in my opinion. The only thing is he doesn't have combat shield yet. He does have stim, but he doesn't have combat shields. That's a bit annoying. But Vortex doesn't have enough Mutalisks on the field to even be a threat at this stage. Those Marines will absolutely obliterate that number. So now we're sitting in a position where Vortex has got to go for this heavy upgrade style. He's sitting on a lot of gas. Doesn't really have the minerals to pump out a huge number of units. He's looking to get Baneling speed and +1 on both sides. Has finally managed to establish a 3rd base very, very late. And 4GG is just powering forward. Now we've got an armory coming out for more upgrades. 1-1 just finished. Lined up very, very nicely here. Can go straight into 2-2. He's almost got the gas for it. And 4GG's saying, oh, so for the last 11 minutes, you've done nothing to me. Vortex gets the scout, spots the 3rd base, and says, well, I don't have enough units to make anything work here. 4GG is going to be feeling very pleased with himself. 13 Banelings now being morphed in. He is looking to do that attack on the 3rd. The only blessing, I think, right now is the Widowmine count is very, very low, and there are no tanks. So a Baneling attack could do damage if Vortex is able to draw his opponent out of position. He forces a stim out. Pretty big one. There are plenty of medevacs in position, though. He's not expecting an attack from that angle. He's expecting an attack from the front or the top, not the bottom. So it is possible that damage will be done here. Baneling speed is now complete. Vortex has a huge number of Banelings morphing in. His opponent doesn't know about it. He's not really pre-spread. There's this one Widowmine that might be the hero here. It depends on the angle that these attacks actually come in at. 4GG has got to suspect something. It's a 2-angled attack by the looks of it. You're going to see the attack from the top and from the bottom simultaneously. Alright, here it comes. These bunkers are empty right now. And Lings come in from the side as well. Banelings get a good connection. Oh, Vortex, you monster! Good God, what a fantastic connection. The entire mineral line gets wiped out, and suddenly 4GG in a world of trouble. What a fantastic attack. Incredibly well executed. 4GG was completely unprepared for that. gets caught sandwiched between banelings from all sides. Massive economic damage is dealt. 22 workers killed. And 4GG will start to stabilize here, but Luciferon and Vortex just put himself right back in the game with that attack. That was phenomenal. Perfect execution by Vortex. He's got to be happy with that. And now 4GG, suddenly, from a position of comfort and economic dominance, has been put in a position of panic. Sandwiched and completely destroyed. Incredible. What can I say? I am so impressed with Vortex right now. He's right back in this. After that early slip, where he took a lot of damage and put himself behind, now he's in a great spot. Doesn't have a huge amount of Mutalisks. And this attack may start to get a little bit less effective as he goes in. Unborrowed Widow Mine doesn't even get to detonate. What is 4GG doing right now? What he's doing is taking a huge amount of damage, but he is able to hold this. Oh, man. Now he's in a decent spot. After unborrowing that Widow Mine and not being able to detonate against Banelings, he suddenly gets a really great engagement, good split, and an overcommitment here from Vortex, in my opinion, results in 4GG now being able to aggressively push across the map. He has a good supply advantage right now. Very, very solid. 38 Marines. He is on creep. They do have 2-2, though. The upgrades, really great for him. In come the Banelings. The split is pretty good. The Widow Mine doesn't really do anything. Loses that 4th base. Can 4GG continue this push across creep? It's going to be difficult. There's a huge amount of creep that's already over halfway across the map. It's not going to recede too quickly either. He's using a lot of scans to get rid of this. I don't think 4GG can continue here. I really don't. I think it's too dangerous. He's got to pull back. He didn't even manage to make the creep recede too well. I mean, he's got this bit, but this bit is still absolutely fine. So Vortex is still in a good spot, even though he engaged poorly the second time around. He's definitely behind in supply. 4GG's macro is pumping out heavily. A lot of Widow Mines playing the very standard Heartless One Biomine style. Drilling Claws coming in, 3-3 as well. Vehicle and ship plating coming in. A lot of medevacs, good Marine count. So right now, the aggression is coming in once again. 4GG might have enough to make this work this time. The 2-2 is almost done here for Vortex. It's not quite, but it's good enough. Oh! Bang! Down goes the Vanguard. Very nicely done. Vortex again with the Baneling connections from hell right now. But he still has a supply deficit. This 3rd base is not going to be held. Decent splitting this time around. Off goes the Widow Mines. Actually hits the Mutalist this time around. Doesn't want to commit to that, and he knows it. Comes back around. The Banelings do get hits, but not as efficient as he needs them to be right now. 4GG's macro is in full effect. 3 bases on right now. More Lings coming in. The Mutalists are going to take yet more hits. They're going to be killed off as well. There's the GG. That was back and forth. Wow, I really thought that Vortex could have made that happen after that fantastic engagement at the 3rd base, but his second engagement was inefficient, and 4GG was able to suddenly gain that tempo advantage and immediately push forward, and there was really no answer there from his opponent. Great upgrades from 4GG, and a solid counter push wins him the game. Alright, we're evened up 2 for 2, folks, and Vortex is out of there. That leaves you with very limited possibilities there. You could send Hope in. That's a possibility. And you can maybe go for a big all-in. Or, if you can't do that, you've really got to send a Protoss player at him, that's a dangerous proposition here for Mousesports. They were expecting Vortex to be able to take him out, and 4GG able to execute that very well. Alright. Well, we will go into the next map very shortly, folks. I want to see what Mousesports is going to send up against 4GG right now. If Vortex can't beat him, this is going to be tough for them. We will find out after the break. Oh man, that track's so good. That's so very good. But I'm sorry, guys. We're going to have to stop it because we have the next matchup. And it will be the man that many consider to be the ace of Mousesports for the longest time. And arguably still is. Yes, indeed. They're bringing out Mana. He's in the red trunks. He is playing Protoss to the northeast of Yunsu versus his opponent to the southwest position in the blue trunks. For Team Millenium, it's 4GG, who overcomes the Zerg impressively, and that actually puts Mousesports in a horrible spot, because really, Vortex had to kill 4GG. The only other Zerg Mousesports even has is Hope, who I would say is a worse player, certainly not as experienced and not as accomplished. That doesn't mean he's bad, I'm just saying that Vortex is better. And now we've got to see Protoss against 4GG, and this is not a matchup that 4GG is bad at. He is very accomplished in this matchup. I'd still say TVT is his strength, but his Terran versus Protoss is really good. So Mana is going to be hard-pressed. Now, a long time ago, Mana was considered to be some of the best PvT in the world, honestly. This was a long time ago, though. I remember casting a match when Jinro was easily the best foreigner, and Mana handily defeated him. Very effectively. But I would say it's not necessarily the case anymore. He's still good at the matchup, but he's definitely not as dominant as he once was. But he is still Mana, and Mana is just well-rounded in every way. He very rarely makes mistakes. He plays solid games. So we'll see where this goes. Now, Yunsu is a little bit of a weird one, and honestly, from what I actually believe this as well, because I've seen it happen, especially against Protoss. It's kind of an awkward map for Protoss to go up against Terran, mainly because you've got these really awkward expansions which have cliff faces. This one in particular is a nightmare to defend, simply because you can get attacks from the low ground. If you notice how close the minerals actually are to the cliff face here, it's very easy to do a lot of damage to your opponent from the lower part of the cliff if you're Terran, because of course you have medevacs you can see up there. There was also potential siege tank play there as well. Elevation play is very effective around this base. But here's the thing. As far as I know, this is a map that was picked by Mana, so he definitely has a strategy for it. He knows what he's doing. Gateway expand here for Mana, very standard. Nothing out of the ordinary here, just one assimilator. Scout comes in, 4GG spots it immediately. CC after the barracks here. So it was a gasless barracks expand. No Reapers, obviously, because you don't have any gas for them. It's not a map I think that a lot of people are all that experienced on yet, so it's definitely one of the more interesting maps in the map pool. The expansion layout and the way that they're set up is a little unusual. Again, some players really don't like it, but we'll see where they go from this particular position. We've got another CC coming in. Greediest of greed here from 4GG. So greedy, no gas, one barracks, triple CC. He thinks, hey, Mana's not going to attack me. You're probably right. I mean, Mana is known as a very passive player, very macro-orientated, mid-to-late game kind of player. He is not the kind of guy that will apply a large amount of early aggression. That's just not his thing. So it's not the worst idea ever here from 4GG. Still potentially vulnerable, though. I would like to know what Mana's going to do, especially if he can get scouting information. He knows the CC is down. Does he know there's another one? No. And he has no... Well, he does have a way to find it, but it's going to be a little bit difficult for him. It would involve the Mothership Core roaming across the map here. And Mana, again, is a very defensive player, so he's unlikely to have that happen. But he might. You know, he very well might. 3 more barracks to follow this one up. Obviously, I mean, you're sitting on triple CC, you will absolutely do that. Still no gas. I mean, this is actually crazy. Gasless Terran style on 3cc at 31 supply and rising. Still no sign of gas coming out from these guys. That's... Wow. And in the meantime, of course, Mana sitting on 2 gas at his home base. Pylon going towards the back. I wonder what he wants to put there. He's got Robo coming out here, so I expect Observer first from Mana, and that's exactly what happens. I mean, you could not be more Mana than this build, right? Finally, the gas comes down at 34 supply there. 4GG playing a Zerg-like style here. Very cool. A lot of barracks coming out. His income is going to skyrocket pretty shortly. And, I mean, that puts him in a solid spot. But Mana is going for a big Colossus play with more gates coming behind this. He may just go for 2-base Colossus at this point, and that, I think, is a really good idea. Instead of expanding, and this is an annoying expansion to take, but he would more likely take this expansion instead over here. But it is so far away from the main base, difficult to reinforce. A 2-base Colossus play could work really well here. Scan goes down, spots the 4 gas. That gives him some information. What else does he know about? Well, he doesn't know about the rowboat, and he doesn't know about that. And that's hidden back pretty far. So a scan's probably going to land here. It may miss the robo bay. I like this. I like this from Mana. I really do. There's a good amount of gateways being ramped up here. Production is on its way. Colossus on the way here. So this will be a 2-base Colossus play. And I think that could work. 4GG is very slow in his tech. This is a massively greedy build here. Stim only just started. A factory only just started. There's a Colossus halfway done, and there's no factory on the field. He's not even close to having Vikings. So this could work. I wonder how many Colossus he will go with here. Will he go with 2? Is he even going to get that range upgrade? Yes, he starts the range upgrade. So it's going to be maybe a 2 to 3 Colossus attack with gateway units. I think that could do so well. Mana denies the scout. Very, very nicely here. Starport finally goes down. Widowmine being produced here. There's the scan to pick off the observer. Nice little move. So we'll probably see a reactor come out here after this Widowmine. The timing might be slightly off. More racks coming down behind this as well. I mean, a marine-heavy attack will... Marines will not work against this. In theory, that shouldn't work. Unless Mana makes a positional error. 3 more gates coming down. Colossus is about to complete, so he's sitting on 2. By the time this attack hits, he is going to have extended thermal land, so it looks like it will be a 2 Colossus push. With more gateways. Does he have a forward pylon? He does. In a good position. Yeah, he's moving out. He's ready to go. And rightfully so. 4GG is going to have a really hard time holding this. He doesn't have the means. He has no Vikings. None. He has a large amount of Marines. Combat shield is nowhere near complete. This is the worst thing. He's got stim, but no combat shield. And not enough medivacs. This attack should destroy 4GG completely. Unless 4GG somehow is able to pull off a miraculous defense. There's no bunkers! He is clearly expecting a macro style from his opponent, and he's absolutely wrong. Oh no, he's splitting his army as well. This is even worse. He's not going to see it. Oh, now he drops away. Oh, this is going to hurt. I can't see 4GG holding this at all. No way. Force field split the army in half perfectly. That's half the army dead already. There's no answer to this Colossus at all. There are no Vikings on the field. 2 Marauders come out. That's pretty much all he's got here. Time warp on the ramp. This is devastating. Mana executes this absolutely perfectly. More reinforcements coming behind this. The Colossus are just sitting there saying, hi, this is fine. Combat shield is not finishing. Oh, it's actually on another one, so he might get this finished. Oh, great force field blocks all of those SCVs in. Marines come around the back. 4GG going for a nice little execution here to try and get rid of this, but the position's just no good. GG. Mana obliterates him. Very nicely played out. I did wonder why Mana would pick Yonsu, and there's the reason. He expected greed from his opponent. Bit of a Terran-favored map. Goes for the 2-base Colossus all in. Devastates 4GG, who had no idea that was coming. Now, that puts Mousesports in a great spot. 4GG is at least out till the ace match. So, Mana, I think, is the measure of any other player on Millenium right now. He could easily take them on and put up a good fight. Will it be enough? Can he take it the ace match on his own? Possibility. We'll find out after this break, folks. Don't go anywhere.